I am so thrilled to be here. I love coming to Vision of Light, and thank you, Dawn, so very much. Dawn and I met in 2017 at the Vermont State Reiki Association, and Franca Java Peter, who's a big Reiki historian, was the presenter. And there was a whole lot of synchronicity about how I found out about that because I am from Pennsylvania. And Dawn, I was marketing my book, and it took me 20 years to have the courage to share that Reiki enhances after-death communication, and that even though I had no psychic or spiritual experience, I found out that I could talk with my deceased brother. So the book's called Changemaker: How My Brother's Death Woke Up My Life. And I had that at the Reiki state meeting, and Dawn came right up and she said, "Becky, can you come and speak to our church?" And I said, "You want me to speak at your church?" I'm a PK, a preacher's kid, and I didn't really necessarily think that there was a church that wanted to hear what I had to say about the afterlife and after-death communication. She said, "Yes, please come." And so thank you, Dawn, very, very much for having me come again. I'll never forget standing behind the pulpit, because it was in person at the time, and talking to everybody that was there. It was quite a revolutionary experience for me. So today I'd like to concentrate on how Reiki enhances after-death communication, and also provide you some very exciting recent research that the afterlife is real. I'm an occupational therapist, and so my practice has always been very scientific. Reiki has been part of occupational therapy since 2005. And when I was writing my book about the afterlife, I almost pulled out that I could communicate with my brother, because I didn't want everybody to think that every occupational therapist talked to dead people. Like, I didn't think that was a good idea. But there is a component of occupational therapy called spirituality. And when I was getting ready to have the book published by She Writes Press, I was at the American Occupational Therapy Association annual conference. And I looked at this poster called Spirituality, and I thought, oh my gosh, there is a place for Reiki, and there is a place for what happened to me. And at that point, I decided to submit a blind proposal, to be a presenter to teach Reiki at the American OT Association. And at that annual conference, it was accepted. And it was accepted for 2015. And I am just flabbergasted and thrilled to say that every single year I've submitted a proposal to teach Reiki, and it's blind, like people don't know who I am or whatever. And this year is going to be the 7th year in a row that Reiki's been taught at the in-person AOTA annual conferences. So a couple of years after I started teaching, I got a call from Duquesne University, and Duquesne University is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And they said, "Beck, a couple of our faculty have been to your Reiki course. Could you please come to Duquesne and teach it to our students?" And I said, "Yes, that'll be excellent." And so when I do in-person Reiki, I always try to make the room really pretty and relaxing and all of that. And I walked in the day after I'd prepared the room, and there was about 44 students, occupational therapy students, in the room. And I said, "Hi, I'm Becky Austill-Clausen, and I'm here to teach Reiki. How many of you have heard about Reiki?" And not one person raised their hand. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is going to be interesting. What Duquesne did is they Boston accent, partnered the next day with the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Occupational Therapy chapter. And so within one weekend, 70 people learned Reiki. I am absolutely thrilled to tell you that there was 20% of 70 people, 15 people, had after-death communication experiences. Now, when I teach it, when anybody teaches it, when Dawn teaches it, when anybody teaches it or has it, there's almost always some type of after-death communication. Not always, but a lot of times there is. But 20% was certainly quite a lot. The next year, I was visiting Lily Dale. And I assume you all know about Lily Dale because it is the first spiritualist assembly that started in the United States. It's right over where Erie, Pennsylvania is. And it started about 1890. And so it's the largest community of psychics and mediums in the United States. So I was with a whole group of Reiki masters. We do a lot of hospice work, which is just lovely. And we were at Lily Dale. I was thrilled to see that Lily Dale provides free Reiki every day in the summer at their healing center. And I thought, you know, if I had this experience where 20% of the 70 folks at Duquesne had an after-death communication experience, and Lily Dale also provides Reiki, there really is something to the fact that Reiki enhances after-death communication. The next year, I had a professional honor to teach after-death communication at Lily Dale, and I certainly combined a variety of Reiki concepts with it, and it was really quite exciting. So what is Reiki? Like, what is Reiki? Bernadette introduced me to a wonderful person named Adrian Bannister, and he does search engine optimizations. And so I was interested in continuing to promote Reiki. And Adrian, I just met with him like a couple of days ago. He's absolutely fantastic. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that I ask that exact question. What is Reiki? That's the number one question, according to a search engine optimization of everything. That's the number one question. What is it? So being an occupational therapist, I look at more the medical model of what is Reiki. And we were talking about this before we started. Dawn did a beautiful job explaining it. It's energy. Reiki is energy. We all have the ability to heal ourselves. We all have natural healing energy. For example, if you go to the hospital and you have an EKG, an electrocardiogram, that measures the beat of your heart. Measures the beat of your heart. That's energy. We don't call it energy in this country, but that's energy. It's measuring the energetic beat of your heart. If you have an EEG, an electroencephalogram, that's measuring the brain waves, the energy. It's measuring the energy of the brain. If you have an MRI, say you hurt your arm and you have an MRI, it's a magnetic resonance image. It's looking at the energy of your health or disease tissue. So we all have this energy within us that can be measured. We're all connected. Reiki raises our vibrational awareness and connects us to the afterlife and enhances after-death communication, as shown by what happened at Duquesne University, Lily Dale. Most people had never even heard of Reiki that first time they learned it at Duquesne. If you are familiar with the book, The Secret, and The Secret is written by Rhonda Byrne, and it was written in 2006. 30 million copies of The Secret were sold. It's translated into 50 different languages. The first book, The Secret, I always call it sort of a bathroom reading book. It's a very small book, and if you haven't read it, I encourage you to read it. It's a quick read. It talks about positivity. Positive thought facilitates positive action, which facilitates positive life experiences. And you think, now really, how can that be correct? But when you think about it, everything is all connected. We're all connected. We're connected internally. We're connected with the afterlife. Energy is all connected. Reiki increases our energetic awareness. In 2019, there was a large-scale Reiki study done. It's the largest statistical study of Reiki that's been done to this date. It's done by Dyer, D-Y-E-R, and I put this in your chat. So you have all these resources that I'm talking about in your chat, and I'll put it again for the folks that arrive later. I'll put it in the chat at the very end of this presentation as well. But anyway, you can get this large-scale research study by searching D-Y-E-R, Dyer, large-scale Reiki study. 1,411 people received one session of Reiki all across the United States, done by 99 Reiki masters. So 99 Reiki masters provided 1,411 Reiki sessions one time. And all the Reiki masters were trained the same way by William Rand's organization, which is the International Center for Reiki Training. So they had similar training. Statistically significant results were determined by this large-scale study that said that Reiki reduces pain, anxiety, depression, and an increase in well-being with just one session. And I'm like, oh, all right, because for years I've been providing Reiki. I've been a Reiki practitioner for over 25 years, and I know it works. It works. People feel better. You feel more connected. You understand how to help heal yourself, because you're healing yourself. It's not somebody else healing you. You're healing yourself. But there was never really a good, valid statistical research study until this one, 1,411 people. Reiki enhances well-being, reduces stress, and facilitates a connection to the afterlife. So then the next question is the afterlife real? Is it real? I mean, everybody here knows that it's real. We know it's real. But how do we scientifically decide that it's real? Because in our country, gosh, we are so biomechanically minded. 2 years ago, right about this time, so it was February 2021, there was a fellow by the name of Robert Bigelow. He said, I will pay $1 million for anyone that can prove human consciousness is separate from bodily death. In other words, the afterlife is real. Robert Bigelow started what's called the Institute of Consciousness Studies. And so he was willing to pay $1 million for someone that could prove that the afterlife is real. There was a panel of 6 scientific experts that determined the winner. In November 2021, 29 prize-winning essays. So there were 29 people or groups of people that wrote prize-winning essays that received a total of $1.8 million, proving that the afterlife is real and that human consciousness is separate from bodily death, meaning when we die, our body dies, but our consciousness remains. I am so excited to share that Jeffrey Mishlove is the first place winner of the Bigelow Awards. He won $500,000, $500,000 for his fantastic essay. It goes on and on and on. It is absolutely phenomenal. He has about 8 different categories, 8 different concepts, proving that consciousness is separate from bodily death and that the afterlife is real. Also, he has a current podcast, and it's called New Thinking Aloud. And I can't be happier than saying that an occupational therapist, Emmy Vadnais, is his co-host. Emmy is also cited 3 times in his prize-winning essay. And so check out New Thinking Aloud, and also check out Emmy's company. It's called Holistic OT. I love promoting the work that she does. So way to go to Jeffrey Mishlove for winning $500,000 for his 2021 Bigelow prize-winning essay. Cheers to Jeffrey Mishlove. The second place winner is Dr. Pim van Lommel. He's a Dutch cardiologist. So he's a physician, Dutch cardiologist. And years ago, he had an experience. So being a cardiologist, he works with people particularly that have heart attacks. And so someone had a heart attack and they essentially flatlined. Their body was essentially dead. And they came back and were not pleased. They were not pleased to be back. And he said, why aren't you happy to be alive? And they said, I had such a beautiful experience where I was. It was filled with love, filled with compassion. I don't want to come back. And he thought, what is this? What that is it's called a near-death experience. And so he did a study. It's called the Dutch study. And he had 10 hospitals. They looked at 344 patients that had heart attacks. Out of those 344 patients, 18% had what's called a near-death experience. Now, near-death experiences are when your body flatlines, so you're essentially dead. You essentially travel to another realm. Let's call it the afterlife. You travel to another realm called the afterlife. Many people see loved ones that have passed on during their near-death experience. The afterlife that they've experienced for the majority of people is filled with love, compassion, no judgment, and people that have passed on are there. There was a study about, a fundraising effort about 2 years ago to help medical physicians be aware that near-death experiences are real. And the Johns Hopkins University Press, which is a very esteemed publication, now provides for free all these research activities, events, and experiences called near-death experiences. They provide them for free to anyone, marketed towards the medical community. So Pim Van Lommel has a wonderful article explaining about near-death experiences, and he was the second place winner of the Bigelow Awards. Now, let's see. I also wanted to say, okay, on this near-death experience concept, the organization that primarily supports this is called the International Association of Near-Death Studies. It's a marvelous organization, absolutely fantastic, composed of medical professionals, educators, researchers, people that have had near-death experiences. They have asked me, I'm so excited, since 2021 to teach Reiki at their organizational annual conference. And I'm like, all right. So there's such a wonderful connection between those that have passed on, Reiki facilitating after-death communication, Reiki enhancing the awareness of afterlife. And so if you're interested in IANDS, it's IANDS, International Association of Near-Death Experiences.org. And again, this is in the chat. I'm very excited to share that the annual conference this year is in Arlington, Virginia. So that's not too far. And so it's on the East Coast. A lot of times it's in the Midwest or California or whatever. This year it's in Arlington, Virginia. And if anyone would like to be a healer at IANDS, I'm in charge of the healers, and normally we have about 20 different healers: Reiki, polarity, healing touch. We have mediums, any type of healing that you want. Healing's a fundraiser for IANDS, and it's 20-minute one-on-one sessions, and it's a volunteer healing opportunity. We form a marvelous community of healers, and it is absolutely fantastic. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to let me know. We did about 230 individual one-on-one 20-minute sessions the last 2 years, and that's 230 sessions a year. So it really is quite phenomenal. To get back to the Bigelow Awards about the afterlife being real, the third place winner is a fellow by the name of Leo. I don't know how you say his name, but it's Ruickbie, Ruickbie. So I think it's Leo Ruickbie. In my opinion, Leo is a medium. So I was looking up Leo this morning, and I didn't see the word medium anyplace in any of the Google descriptions, which I thought was most interesting. He calls himself a British historian, a person that studies exceptional experiences. He's a wide-ranging author on ghosts. And so he's the third place winner. He won $200,000 from the Bigelow Awards. And the Bigelow Award link is in your chat. It used to be very easy, and now it's a longer award, but definitely check it out, because the articles are the medical, scientific, experiential validation that the afterlife is real. Reiki enhances our ability to connect with the afterlife. I encourage you to take Dawn's class, particularly since it's a fundraiser for the Vision of Light. I teach one-day Reiki classes, and it's good. You can learn it in one day, but it does not provide you with the structure that Dawn's 8-week class does, because in order to actually receive the benefits of Reiki, you want to keep practicing. And so I highly encourage you to do that. Or if you just want to do one day, I teach a class called Reiki Immersion Online, and the links in the chat as well. Feel free, I want to leave some time for questions. Feel free to email me, Becky@RebeccaAustill-Clausen.com, or check out my website, which is just my name, RebeccaAustill-Clausen.com, for weekly quotes or newsletters or events or whatever. But at this point, I would love to open up the floor for questions. And I thank you so very much for being here. It's absolutely a delight.